So the FBI is investigating reports of racist text messages sent to Black Americans after the presidential election. NBC News correspondent Zinklé Esamwa has the latest.
Corinne Freeman was at home with her kids on Wednesday when she got a text from a number she didn't recognize.
It was this odd, ominous feeling text message basically saying, hello, you've been selected to be a slave on a plantation, and you're scheduled to get picked up at 12 a.m. on November 13th.
How did it feel when you got that text message?
Well, I was immediately disturbed.
And she's not alone. Social media sites have been flooded with people from New York to Florida who say they've gotten these racist messages. Freeman and others believe the texts may have been sparked by the current political climate.
I think that this is intentional to scare people of color, Black people, into a reality that we don't want to go back to.
The wording of the texts appear to differ. Some have misspellings, others address individuals by name. But the theme is consistent, telling recipients they've been selected to pick cotton. All of the people NBC News spoke to who got these messages are Black. Several universities confirmed their students have reported receiving the texts. Clemson says they came from numbers associated with online spoofing sites. It remains unclear who is behind the messages. TextNow, which offers free phone numbers online, tells NBC News at least one of its accounts may be involved, writing in a statement in part, "We do not tolerate or condone the use of our service to send harassing or spam messages," adding they shut down the accounts and are working with authorities. For recipients like Corinne Freeman, the digital hate is fueling her real-world concerns.
I am overwhelmed with anxiety and fear about how I'm going to help my children make sense of the world that they have to navigate as Black children.
NBC's Zinklé Esamwa with that report. And joining us now, the president and CEO of the NAACP, Derrick Johnson. I guess we'll start there and then broaden out. What do you make of these text messages, and what's it signifying in terms of what's to come?
Well, not surprising. If you can recall, when Trump was in office before, we've seen an increase in racial hate crimes. In 1 week alone, attacks on Latinos in El Paso, African Americans in Louisville, and the Jewish community in Pittsburgh, just in a 1 week span with mass shootings. And so we are not surprised that this is taking place. And unfortunately, we are in for 4 years of this.
Rev, your take?
Well, we must remember in the 4 years that Donald Trump was president, that is when George Floyd happened, that's when Breonna Taylor happened, that's when Ahmaud Arbery, probably three of the most memorable racial cases of our time. And he said nothing as president. He went in front of a church and lectured the protesters holding up a Bible. And I think that as Derrick, as we started getting calls at National Action Network, and I know you were overwhelmed yesterday about these text messages, it brings back this whole feeling of our community under siege. And you've got to remember, Trump just a couple of weeks ago said, well, some slavery could have stayed in. These people are being emboldened and feel empowered with the reelection of Donald Trump. And I think that message didn't get through even to some young Black men because of the anxiety of the economic woes we were dealing with.
Yeah. You know, in terms of the election itself, the Democratic business model is dysfunctional. It's a diminishing return on investment. They emphasize nationalizing the campaign on media buys, and they don't spend enough time on the doors. They don't empower local and state actors. They're not expanding the pie. And so what we have seen over the last 15 plus years is the same playbook, and we're getting diminishing returns. VP, her execution of this campaign was flawless. She did exactly what she was supposed to do.
Absolutely.
But when I got to Pennsylvania, when I was in Atlanta, I realized some gaps there, that the people who were working in the campaign that was hired before the VP was in place, they were disconnected from the communities. If African Americans, we're a reliable voting bloc, but we have to be persuaded. We have to be mobilized. And the model they use is mobilization only and not persuasion. The median age of our community is 32 years old. Think about that. A significant number of individuals, they didn't grow up looking at broadcast news.
Right.
They didn't grow up looking at cable news. They grew up looking at social media platforms that's unregulated, full of mis and disinformation. And so we have to communicate with them differently.
Nailed it, yeah.
Yeah, no question there. So let's talk big picture. Where does the party go from here? I mean, certainly, Donald Trump tried to court black voters this time around, didn't actually end up having much success. He had major inroads, though, with the Latino population. But what so many voters on the trail, though, and Rev, you've attested to this, is there are so many members of the black community who just feel like their vote has been taken for granted. That they show up every, the candidate shows up every 4 years. So how can that fundamental dynamic change? How can they feel more included, more part of the process?
One, the black vote should not be taken for granted. We need to have a conversation with the black community, and it's a persuasion conversation. Two, the consultant class gotta be pushed back because they're controlling multi-billion-dollar campaigns with no real accountability and a lot of self-dealings. And so what you find is no infrastructure between elections, individuals being grossly enriched, and the candidates can be perfect. And what happens is, regardless of the candidate, the infrastructure is still in place, and that goes back 15, 20 years, and it's frustrating to say the least.
I can imagine. President and CEO of the NAACP, Derek Johnson, thank you. I'm so sorry.